A history of technical communication in about 5 minutes. These key dates come from the Oasis XML website, plus some extra dates I've added. So technical communication essentially began during the Second World War with the first programmable computers. In the UK, we'd argue the first computers were Colossus and Tiny. In the States, you may see them as BINAC and ENIAC. But it's true to say that the first manual that was produced was actually written in about 1949 by Joseph Chaplin, and that was for the BINAC computer. And then around the 1960s, we started to see some standards come about for writing user guides and user manuals, focused on how to document complex systems. And we saw in 1961 the Navy Quick Reference Comprehension format come out, which enables scanning of information very quickly. We had Hughes' stop method, where information was structured sequentially and on particular themes. Stop stood for Sequential Thematic Organization of Publications. And in 1967 we had information mapping founded, which you'll still see today within the technical communication community. Around the 1980s we started to see the personal computer era. But as a precursor to that, in the mid-70s we had the founding of Microsoft. And like most startups of that time, in addition to three men with a beard, as part of the startup team was a technical author. And in Microsoft's case, it was somebody called Andrea Lewis, and she's the person sitting in the bottom left-hand corner of what appears to be on Bill Gates's lap. So we saw the IBM PC released, and one of the major milestones in technical communication, a book by John Carroll, and also the growth of organising information by what's called information types. Around the 1980s we also saw tools for technical writers emerge. And in 1984 we saw the first F1 help, launched by Lotus with 123, and the release of SGML, Structured Generalized Markup Language, and the first really hypertext system with Apple's HyperCard. In 1987 we saw the launch of the first desktop publishing and page layout software applications. And there's a screenshot from the first version of FrameMaker, which was available on the NeXT computer. The next major milestone was the Windows era, with the launch in 1990 of Windows 3, and with that Windows Help, or WinHelp for short. And allied to that came the first help authoring applications, the first help authoring tools, one of which being RoboHelp, which we still see today. And then in 1995 we saw Internet Explorer released, and a change in the help format to HTML help. And then we're getting close to a second era in technology, and one that's still affecting the way in which technical communication is written today. In 1998, Google was launched. But around 2000 we started to see a new stage in technology, what you might call the second evolutionary stage. And with that we had the launch of Wikipedia and the idea of user-generated content. And in 2001, the launch of Apple's iPod, one of the major milestones in technology, in that it was promoted as a product that just worked. It simply worked, very easy to use. We saw the first Web 2 applications with websites such as Salesforce.com. And allied to those type of websites was the idea of having frequently asked question pages, sometimes in addition to or as a substitute to online help. Around 2005 we saw the launch of Ditto, which is an XML standard for structured content, but that's really focused on traditional technology. Around 2005, we saw the launch of YouTube, which is the second most popular search engine these days, and very popular for providing assistance on how to fix things. And in 2007, we at Cherryleaf got our first request from a client to write a manual that wasn't in the traditional formal instructional style, but was more in a conversational, chatty style. And that started us to wonder, are things changing? Are there new standards emerging for technical communication? Then in 2008, Google launched Google Chrome, and with it they published their user guide as a comic. Another major milestone in technology of products that have influenced others was the launch of the Apple iPhone, again a product that emphasized its ease of use. And in 2009, a very important book came out by Anne Gentle called Conversation and Community, suggesting that technical publications should now include content from users and be more conversational in style. 2010, we saw the launch of the iPad, again another product that's emphasizing how easy it is to use. And the most recent milestones that are going to affect technical communication are the launch of IBM's Watson, which means that we are getting to automatic speech recognition, Apple's Siri, and also another important book by Joe Walensky about how to write content that's suited to mobile devices, such as mobile phones, or cell phones as you would call them in the States. And that brings us to 2012, where we are today. So that's essentially technical communication, the history in a few minutes.